Merry New Year!
Happy. In this country, we say happy.
Thank you for correcting my English with Steve.
Yes, Merry New Year. It is 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. That's right, January 2nd, the second day of the new year. Mike Opelka in for my friend Chris Plant on the Chris Plant Show. Thrilled to be back. My final visit with you of the vacation series of shows for my pal Chris Plant. As I said, happy to be here, thrilled to be here. And just a little bit of inside radio baseball here, Michael. I can't hear hardly the music at all, so I'm just kind of winging it a little bit. I'm sure we'll figure it out. We have many things to discuss this morning as our president, Donald John Trump, has said that the United States will intervene if Iran kills protesters. And that's an interesting bit of news that is crossing this morning, and I wonder how you feel about that. We'll talk about it. The President of the United States monitoring the very tense and looks like violent situation in Iran. And before we left on New Year's Eve, it looked like the protests were starting to build. Well, apparently they're happening in 20-plus cities around the nation of Iran. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what's going on. The left side of the mainstream media seems to be obsessed with President Trump's grammar on a post that he put up, and they're taking issue with it. But then they take issue with every single thing the president does if they can say that it's a problem. For example, MS-13 Now this morning was talking about the Wall Street Journal interview the president did, the president talking about his latest health exam and how there was some question about whether or not the president was healthy. And the left side of the mainstream media, trying to say that Donald Trump is not healthy enough to be president. Meanwhile, we know what they didn't cover during the 4 years of the Biden administration. Didn't cover anything at all. But they're obsessed with President Trump, and especially Eugene Robinson, who reported on, let's just say, rumor. This was what passes for journalism on MS-13 Now.
There is a passage in which someone reported seeing Trump eat, and Trump at a meal, at a single sitting, ate.
Now, again, this is a report of someone saying they saw the president eat at a single meal, at a single sitting.
Apparently a McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese and a Big Mac and a fillet of fish, which is like 3 dinners.
No, it's not like 3 dinners, but that's a good try. Maybe it's more than you would suggest, but the president has a history of sharing his appreciation and enjoyment for McDonald's. Heck, he worked there. He really did, unlike Kamala.
Is that the way this president dines, and in that quantity? And should that perhaps be alarming? He's going to be 80 years old later this year. It doesn't seem he's really taking care of himself.
Oh, they're worried he's not taking care of himself. Remember when Joe Biden got ice cream just about every time he stopped somewhere? Was that a good thing? And the president did hold forth on New Year's Eve at Mar-a-Lago. The president of the United States was at Mar-a-Lago, and he had, in fact, I'm sure, not a meal consisting of McDonald's New Year's Eve at Mar-a-Lago. It was a fairly well-heeled crowd. How do I know it's a well-heeled crowd? The president hosted an auction that night. There was a painting that was done, a stunning painting. And I don't know how these people do it. I watch people paint something in their studios. I have friends who are actual painters, and it takes them sometimes months to finish a painting. These people do beautiful paintings in minutes. And this woman painted a very large Jesus Christ painting. And the president said, let's sell this for charity. They put it up for auction. 50% of the money was going to St. Jude's Hospital. 50% was going to the Palm Beach Sheriff's Department. The bidding started at $100,000. So that's what leads me to believe they weren't serving Big Macs at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve. Probably a lot nicer stuff. Not that McDonald's isn't delicious. The ultimate bid on the painting sold for $2.75 million. Again, New Year's Eve, Mar-a-Lago. 50% of that money went to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. 50% went to help out the Palm Beach Sheriff's Department, showing you where President Trump's priorities are. Taking care of law enforcement, specifically local law enforcement, and taking care of a great charity, St. Jude's Hospital. If you haven't seen it, it's an interesting video of the President of the United States all dolled up. He was, and the First Lady was quite dolled up as well. But Eugene Robinson and the folks at MS-13 Now, they will never stop trying to denigrate the president. They will never stop. I guarantee you it's going to be relentless and endless. And they'll take every chance they can. But this is just an example. Spreading a rumor. Now, yeah, during the 2016 election, I believe there was a lot of talk about how much McDonald's was consumed on the campaign trail. And we know that there was McDonald's on the plane. RFK Jr. actually was seen eating McDonald's, and a lot of people were giving him a hard time about that because of the way he eats. But to make this the sticking point this morning on MS-13 Now, again, where is the journalism?
There is a passage in which someone reported seeing Trump eat. And Trump, at a meal, at a single sitting, ate apparently a McDonald's Quarter Pounder with cheese and a Big Mac and a fillet of fish, which is like 3 dinners.
What, no fries? Yeah, but he had a Diet Coke. I love the way they report. They're reporting on MS-13 Now, especially Eugene Robinson, reminds me of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this kid is going with the girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. I guess it's pretty serious.
That's right. I wonder if she's working at MS-13 Now. I wonder if that's happening. Look, this just rings so hollow after all of the avoidance of any credible journalism or reporting about Joe Biden. This is not going to be accepted by anybody at all. The president also did report to the media that his most recent exam included an MRI. Remember that scene? Well, the reporting has been changed that the president's doctor is saying, no, it was a CAT scan. It was a CT scan. CBS News, and this is kind of an important story to take and make record of. CBS News tried to find a way to prove to you that the president is not in good shape.
It was just an MRI. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain.
President Trump insisted for months he had an MRI during his October visit to Walter Reed National Medical Center. But today, he and the White House physician, Sean Barbabella, revealed it was a CT scan done to definitively rule out any cardiovascular issues.
Aha! He mislabeled a CAT scan an MRI. How dare he? He must be thrown out of office. The President of the United States should be impeached for saying it was an MRI when it was a CT scan. And I ask any one of us, can you explain the difference between a CT scan and an MRI? I know one may be a little more accurate than the other, but CBS News is absolutely obsessed. And again, this is important because of what is allegedly going on at CBS News. Let's follow this report a little bit further.
The imaging results were perfectly normal, Barbabella said. But the revelation comes as Trump, the oldest man to ever assume the presidency at 79, has faced scrutiny about his health.
I think I'm in great shape.
The White House has insisted Trump's hands are bruised because he meets and greets so many people.
The president is literally constantly shaking hands. The Oval Office is like Grand Central Terminal.
But he told the Wall Street Journal today it's because he takes too much aspirin, which can cause the bruising, and that he's ignored doctor recommendations. He switched from his current dose of 325 milligrams to a suggested lower dose. They say aspirin's good for thinning out the blood, Trump told the Journal, and I don't want thick blood pouring through my heart. I want nice thin blood pouring through my heart.
So now that statement is going to get all kinds of questions about the president's mental competence. They're going to say, he's talking about he wants thin blood. He's not a doctor, people. He might be pulling your chain, as it were. CBS continues with this curious report.
In July, the president saw doctors about swelling in his legs, which his physician called superficial chronic venous insufficiency, common in older adults when one-way valves and veins don't work properly.
Now, that is common. It's very common, yet very treatable. That fact is kind of left out of the report. And CBS News is constantly focusing now on the ankles of the president.
I took my physical. I got all A's, everything.
And in recent months, he's been caught with his eyes closed during cabinet meetings and Oval Office events. But he told the Journal he blames trouble sleeping at night on photographers who take a picture of me blinking.
And Ed joins us live right now. We've been hearing also, switching gears, a lot about the administration's actions when it comes to the cartels. Ed, what do you know in terms of what's next potential?
Well, now they're talking about the president's schedule and the fact that he has cut back on his travel. Really? He's cut back on his travel? Very interesting. I seem to remember the guy bouncing all over the Middle East and then to Europe, and he does regularly go back and forth from Mar-a-Lago to D.C. He's on the campaign trail and will be on the campaign trail, according to Susie Wiles, as if this were a presidential campaign year, as the president is attempting to make sure that the midterms are successful. More on that later. Just kind of interesting to me that the media seems to be jumping on President Trump's health right now. And the CBS report made me take notice. Why? Because the new anchor of CBS Evening News, Tony, Dokupil? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Put out this report on New Year's Eve.
On too many stories, the press has missed the story because we've taken into account the perspective of advocates and not the average American.
I kind of agree with that.
Or we put too much weight in the analysis of academics or elites and not enough on you. And I know this because at certain points, I have been you. I have felt this way too.
Wait, you are me? Does that mean I am you? I hope not.
I felt like what I was seeing and hearing on the news didn't reflect what I was seeing and hearing in my own life.
So did you stand up and say, hold on a second here, I work in the news. He's been at CBS since 2013, I think. And now he's the anchor? If you were feeling that way, did you ever stand up? I wonder.
And that the most urgent questions simply weren't being asked. So here's my promise to you. Today and every time you see me in this chair, you come first. Not advertisers, not politicians, not corporate interests. And yes, that does include the corporate owners of CBS. I report for you.
I wonder. Well, now that we have it on tape, we'll have to keep our eye on that. You want to join the conversation today and talk about your New Year's? We can talk about what you witnessed. We have plenty to discuss as it relates to the latest out of Minnesota and the massive fraud that's now been caught up and maybe spreading worse in Washington State and Ohio. There's news on gas taxes. And as I said, we will keep our eyes on Iran and give you a complete update on what happened in the change of power as the socialist communist mayor was sworn in New York City over the last 24 hours. It got weird. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show, and a happy New Year to you. It is 2026. That got here quickly. Everything seemed to be safe and sound in our country. I saw the horrific situation at the ski center, the fancy dinner where at least 47 people died, and the church in Amsterdam that burned. And the minute I saw the church, this centuries-old, beautiful church, up in flames, I went, uh-oh. Because we've seen, frankly, a lot of angry militant Muslims in Europe doing dumb things, horrible things. And we still don't know if the church was lit on fire due to some kind of crazy arson, or was it teens just shooting off fireworks? And then not too far from D.C., I think it was Frederick, Maryland, where they had the bridge, the fake out of the bridge with the supposed fireworks show that never happened. Oh, no, the Brooklyn Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge had the big one, where they had thousands of people gathered to watch what had been reported on social media to be an event at midnight which will launch fireworks off the Brooklyn Bridge. And thousands of people gathered, and nothing happened. This is why you don't believe everything you see on the internets. You're supposed to take a minute and do some research. Push the grok button if you're on Twitter X. It actually verifies stuff. Anyway, the phones are hopping already in the new year. 888-630-9625. First call of the year goes to Henry in Dunkirk, Maryland. Hello, Henry. Welcome.
Hi, Mike. How you doing?
I'm great.
Love your show. Love the show.
Thank you.
I just want to digress a little bit, talking about President Trump and his McDonald's meal. I'm 74 years old, and when I go to McDonald's, I get 2 double cheeseburgers, medium fries, and a large Coke. So what's the difference between me getting 2 burgers and fries and the president getting 3 sandwiches? Nothing.
No, it's not. And I know everybody points to that old documentary, Supersize Me, right? The Morgan Spurlock. And I think he's gone now. And
right,
but who knows what the president's health has been. I think he looks better. I looked at him walking into Mar-a-Lago with Melania, and he looks thinner this term than he did last term. And I don't know what that can be associated with, maybe hanging around Robert Kennedy. But, yeah, they're going to find problems with anything. And now the report, you heard the report about the aspirin, where he said he was taking 325 milligrams. He decided to take lower. Now they're saying, well, he's defying his doctor's orders and taking less than he's supposed to. No matter what he does, they're going to find fault. But Happy New Year to you, Henry. Thanks for being here. You have the honor of being the first call of the year on the Chris Plant Show. It's Mike Opelka, and for my friend Chris Plant on the Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show, January 2nd, 2026. Mike Opelka in for Chris. He returns on Monday to his spot. We have a lot of things to get to today, a lot of stuff to cover today. A few of them are housekeeping things where we have to go back to stories that we talked about last week and say either they're still happening or give updates. Sometimes corrections, rarely corrections, because we try to be accurate on the front end. We did talk last week about New Yorkers who were upset because the governor of New York has said, no tax on tips? No, that's on the federal end of things. We're not doing that here in New York because Trump. Well, that's not exactly what Governor Hochul said, but she's backtracking on that. Apparently, no tax on tips will now be permitted in New York State. I wonder if any other of the blue states that were expressing their Trump derangement syndrome and saying they weren't going to accept the no tax on tips provision in the one big beautiful bill. I wonder if any other states who were having their temper tantrums are going to follow suit now too and say, yeah, we didn't really say that. Hochul got caught in a backlash from a bunch of working class people who said, No, don't do this. And then we're also looking at some of the new taxes that are going on because, now that gas is cheaper, and it is important that the price of gas is down, and it's critical to note that it was on this day, back in the day, that the price of a barrel of oil first hit $100. When was that? In 2008. In 2008, oil hit $100 a barrel for the first time. As of Wednesday, as of New Year's Eve, I believe it was $58 to $62, depending on which oil you bought. That means everything oil is used to make is a lot cheaper today than it was in 2008. And I'm not even adjusting for inflation. So that's a big deal. But the states that have Trump derangement syndrome, among them are Michigan and New Jersey, both saw the gas taxes rise. Michigan's went from something like 34 cents a gallon to 52 cents a gallon. So if you're in Michigan and you're planning on reaping the benefits of President Trump's presidency and having cheaper fuel, the state government has said, oh no, that's not going to happen. We've got designs on your money. You can't get away with paying less. You might even have to pay a little bit more. Kind of the same with New Jersey. And in the state of Virginia, there's some really interesting and curious taxes being applied to just basic things like meals. And one particular county, Fairfax, Virginia County, just added a 4% meals tax. So if you think food's going to get cheaper because it's costing less money to deliver, the state's going, no, we can't have you paying less. We need that money. We know how to spend it better than you. Very interesting. But the Michigan gas tax just seems awful. And I wonder if that's going to help Gretchen Whitmer with her political pursuits going forward. Also, speaking of Michigan, this is kind of an interesting deal if you're in the state of Michigan. Elon Musk is attempting to regain some of his dominance in the electric vehicle market. Not that his company is falling apart, but sales are down. And you have to think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's no more government subsidy, the $7,500 vehicle credit going away. And so you have to pay for the car. You and I shouldn't have to pay for anybody wanting to buy an electric vehicle. If someone wants to make that choice, that's their choice. So Elon has just put together a new deal that will allow for some cheap rentals of cars. Yeah, but it's only in Michigan. It's only in Michigan, and it's directly from Tesla. So if you're in Michigan and you want to drive or just try out a Tesla, $60 a day, that's pretty good, right? That's not a bad price. Tesla just set up Tesla Rental, and they're running their own fleet, and they don't need permission from rental companies or dealerships because they don't have traditional dealerships. But the Model 3 and the Model Y, those are the smaller sedans, those will go for $60 a day. The Cybertruck, that giant cartoonish thing, is $75 a day, unlimited miles, free charging, and autopilot. So if you've ever wanted to try one, you can. Look, I owned and drove a Tesla every day for 3.5 years, and I won't own an electric car again. It's not in my DNA. I would consider a hybrid, but I won't own a strictly electrical car. But if you want to try one, no dealers, no middleman to upsell you, just rent it, drive it, return it. And if you buy one, they give you $250 off. But the rentals are short. They can only be 7 days, and you can't leave the state of Michigan. Now, I know what you're thinking. How are they going to stop me from leaving the state of Michigan? Every Tesla is connected to the internet. Every single one. So because Elon has his own satellite network, he could probably shut the car off. And trust me, most every car that has an internet connection, there is the ability, thanks to the, I think it was the Inflation Reduction Act. We'll have to get into that. Lauren Fix, the car coach, has done many, many stories about the invasion of your privacy by the automotive and government cabal that's starting in the 2026 model years. Unless they take it out, there is a technology going to be built into every single car, and the bones of that technology are already in your car, that monitors you. And if you are looking like you're driving while impaired, whether it's drugs or alcohol or exhaustion, if the computer assumes that you're not fully capable of driving, they will give you a warning and then slowly shut your car off and tell you to pull over to the side of the road. They don't just shut it off automatically, but the car monitors your eye movements, and it can even listen to what you are saying inside the vehicle. And if you don't believe me, I'll share some posts with you on this. We can pull this out of the bill, but the House needs to act on it. And I think the House, which will be in session next week, I think we have bigger stories to cover. But I would like to see them remove this from the technology. It does add $3,000 to the price of every new car. And they will also be able to, the cars will also be able to alert the local police and your insurance company if, in fact, you are shut down. But it's very interesting. So I kind of went off on a sidebar there. The Musk car rental program starting up. It's only in the state of Michigan, and you're not allowed to take the car out of the state of Michigan. Another update we talked about last week. There was a claim from Russia that Ukraine attacked Putin's residence with drones. And now it seems like, according to great reporting we're seeing online from several different outlets, the CIA is saying that never happened. So good try, Vladimir Putin, but it appears that maybe you didn't, in fact, have an attack on your home, on your chalet. One of your fabulous homes. So just an update on that. We have many things to talk about as relates to the fraud with the Somali community. But one of the most disturbing things about the fraud that's being reported, and credibly reported, in the Somali community in Minnesota and in Seattle, Washington, and across Ohio, one of the disturbing things is now the people in the area are threatening both Mr. Shirley and Elon Musk. TikTokers are posting videos threatening Elon Musk's life and posting, and Nick Shirley is having his life threatened. Now, Elon Musk has great security around him already. He already has a giant Secret Service-like net. As a matter of fact, I would anticipate, I might even go out on a limb and say Elon Musk's security is probably a little bit bigger than Secret Service. I know that's weird to say. He is the richest guy in the world, but we now have threats to both Nick Shirley's life and to Elon Musk's life. And why? Because they want to stop the waste of money. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we need to do with all of this welfare what I propose we do with voting. And that is, everybody's got to sign up again. If you're getting a benefit from the government, any kind of benefit from the government, I tell everybody, well, you have 90 days. We're not going to shut it off immediately. You have 90 days to prove to us that you are alive, because we know there are many grave sites in different parts of the country that are getting checks sent to them. dead people are getting welfare. You have 90 days to prove to us that you're either a legitimate business or that you are deserving of our tax dollars. And if you don't sign up again, you're going to be pulled. And this is where Doge needs to return. I talked about this with the registration to vote in elections, and I think we need to zero-base that as well. With the mid-decade census, if we get that done, I know that's going to be a tough thing to do, but a census tied to every voter, registered voter in the country, would certainly clear up a lot of the problems. And I'm looking at you, Georgia, because of the recent discovery of thousands and thousands of people who registered to vote, and their address is listed as a church. There were at least 3 churches in the Atlanta, Georgia area. 3 churches, mega churches, where there are thousands of people who registered to vote. Do we think there's no shenanigans going on there? No. No, probably not. It's probably me being racist. But yeah, that's the update on the fraud. But I have clips on the fraud because there are new releases that relate to what's going on in Minnesota and what also is going on in Ohio and the state of Washington, where the new mayor of Seattle has decided that she stands with the attorney general in the state of Washington and says that anybody who dares to go up and knock on a door of one of these Somali daycare centers or healthcare centers, any one of them, that's probably a hate crime, and you will be prosecuted for it. So that entire First Amendment thing that you guys, you really always say that Donald Trump is threatening to destroy the Constitution and tear apart the Constitution, that whole thing with the very First Amendment, it looks like the state of Minnesota has a problem, and that the state of Washington has a problem, and they're going to go after anybody like Nick Shirley who dares to go knock on the door and say, hey, can we have proof that you're a child care agency? Can we have proof that the federal money that you're being given, the state money you're being given, is going to a good place? I think they're backing the wrong horse here, but I want to see more action on it. We'll get into that. And just in case you were wondering, the DNC has deployed the Rapid Response Choir to the Somali daycare centers. That's right, because the only way to fight against the accusations that you're stealing money from the government is to have people in pink vests outside singing. Yeah, they brought out the drums, the 5-gallon paint drums from Home Depot and Lowe's, and they've got their pink vests and they're singing. I just want to know who paid to send these people to sing outside of these daycares that everybody is just saying, we'd like to see your records. And wait till you hear the story about the records that supposedly were stolen from inside the daycare center. It's Mike Opelka. I'm in for Chris Plant. When we get back, we'll go to the phones because there are new and different callers raising some issues about taxes. It is Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on the Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show. Happy New Year. Mike Opelka in for my buddy Chris Plant. I'm trying to get to everything. There's just so much bubbling up in the last 2 days, but the phones are covering it as well. Let's go to John in Chicago, who called in at 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. Hello, John. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, sir. You want to join in on the tax discussion?
Yes, I wanted to tell you that Illinois also is joining those fine states, and they're going to tax tips also at the state level at 4.95%.
Yeah, you guys have had a 4.95 state income tax for a while, like 8 or 9 years or so.
Yes.
But here's the weird thing: are you a person who has tips in your compensation?
No, I am not. But
Anybody who
also
does,
add that they're also adding the overtime into that also.
oh, so if you get overtime and you take it out of your federal income tax, as well as tips, you have to go back in and file an additional schedule that says, by the way, I got this much off my federal taxes, so I have to report that as income. Boy, oh boy, that's awful. That's just awful. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't know where your sports loyalties go, but at least you have the Bears. So you got that going for you, which is nice. But thank you, sir. Appreciate you being there. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Paul is in Massachusetts. Paul wants to bring up another topic. Hello, Paul. Welcome.
Hello, Michael, and Happy New Year to you and everyone at WMAL. I love the station. I listen to you guys on my internet radio. It's great. Here's the thing. Who, and, this might sound like a stupid question, but who is it, which political party has been pushing over and over and over for years and years and years, daycare. We need more government-funded daycare. Well, I think it's time we start connecting the dots to the daycare, like in Minnesota, and I guess it's in other states.
Well, here's...
it's Paul, like 10% for the big guy. You know what I'm saying?
It sure feels that way, doesn't it? Now, there are myriad articles saying that these daycare centers need to be audited to find out if they have made contributions to any certain political parties and or candidates, because when a small daycare, and there are dozens and dozens of them throughout Minnesota and Ohio and Washington State now, we're finding, if they're making $1 million to $2 million a year in federal funding, and then they're giving 10% to the big guy in the local Democrat Party, we need to know, because that sure feels like a kickback. But thank you for that point. We're going to go deep on the fraudistan fraud next hour, and wishing you, Paul, a wicked new year. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show.